Friends of Rice's, I'm Brad with Rice's More Than Floors, and today we're going to go over best practices on how to prep a walk-in shower prior to us coming in. So this is information for the contractor, the drywaller, the plumber, the homeowner, our retail service associate, or RSA, I'll refer to it as. And we have this document here that we've created that we usually typically send out or give out. This I'm going to attempt to put in the YouTube video down below. I'll also see if I can get this to pop up on the screen if I can figure that out. How to get that on YouTube. So I'll refer to this document quite often through this process and look at it, make sure I'm not missing anything. Why are we doing this video? Well, these showers will cost you today in 2023 anywhere from $7,000 to $12,000 or more dollars. So 7 to 12 grand plus to do these walk-in showers. Lots of nuances to them. Obviously, if you're doing 10 recessed showers versus one, it adds a bunch of costs. Adding ceiling, in-floor heat, there's so many variables that even that range is a little sketchy. However, you're spending a lot of money. You're spending a ton of money. Let's get it right. Let's make sure that you don't have things you're disappointed with, or, oh, I wish I would have thought of this. So these things typically are the most common things that we see going up front. You can prepare yourself for a successful end result, and then we use your money wisely here. So if you have any questions, definitely always put it in the comments. That always helps too for other customers. I'm going to do this as quickly as I possibly can, but there's a lot to go over here. It's very important when you're spending that kind of money. When I say $7,000 to $12,000, too, remember that's not including like all your contractor work, tear out, if there is tear out, let's say, or you know, putting drywall on, plumbing, maybe a glass door. You know, there's those things too that go into this. So that's just on our end here at Rice's. So first off, wall studs of the shower must be flat and plumb. So what is plumb? You know, plumb is that stud. I'm going to go this way, so it's leaning in towards your shower or out. You want those things plumb. Flat would be from stud to stud to stud. You would lay a straight edge low, middle, high, and see if there's any deviations between studs. So maybe you found low studs. Okay, construction shims. Here's a construction shim here. You need one, maybe 2, 3 shims. You would hammer tack them on. Now you've got this stud flat with this stud, that stud, that stud. Maybe there's a stud that's high. You could take a planer and plane it down. You want your studs flat because today's large format tile, it doesn't work. You have to have a good flat substrate, just like you would a flat substrate on a floor. You need these walls good and flat from stud to stud. Get the studs flat. When the drywall goes on, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. However, if you don't, this 15 minutes to 45 minutes worth of shim work will cost you on the other side once drywall is on, or backer board. I guess some people do still use backer board. You're going to find that it's going to cost you $200-300 plus for us to fix it. So today I'm going over just strictly showers. They're already prepared and ready for us to install Schluter-Kerdi, this waterproofing membrane. So it doesn't matter what's behind it. I know some people have a mental position that you have to have cement board yet, but remember that's new in 1968. Now it's drywall, typical drywall, and then we're applying waterproofing. So water gets behind this, we're already in trouble. Cement board's not going to help us out. Even I heard one person say once, they're like, oh yeah, you put cement board on that way with a pipe bursts. You know, the pipe bursts behind the wall, you got bigger problems. You better call the insurance company. Or maybe you should have built a boat instead of a shower. At any rate, so there's no real good argument. Schluter does recommend drywall backer, or you can use cement backer. Plywood backer, not yet as of 2023 that I'm aware. So let me check my notes here. Another thing you want to remember between these studs too is where you want to put your blocking in. What do you mean blocking? Well, it'd be 2x6s, 2x8s, 2x10s, 2x12s, whatever it may be, to receive any grab bars you're going to install now or in the future. Maybe robe hooks, those type of things, wherever you got to drill holes in the wall. Don't go down the road of putting 1/2-inch plywood on the walls and then applying your drywall or backer. I don't believe today that's ADA compliant. I think they still want backing or blocking in the wall. So dimensional lumber is blocking. Thickness. Sometimes the plumber needs to know the thickness. So thickness of what? The backer, the membrane, the Kerdi membrane here, waterproofing membrane, the thin set tile. Usually a good rule of thumb is that's going to be from the stud out about 1 inch. If you need to get an exact, talk with the RSA or Retail Service Associate. should be able to figure that out and backtrack it. So backer, thin set, Kerdi waterproofing membrane, thin set and tile, about 1 inch is where you're going to be at. So then that plumber knows where they need to set their mixing valves. So that rough plumbing, that's where that comes into play. So again, get this stuff done prior to drywall going on. Make sure these walls are flat, plumb before you put drywall on. It doesn't make any sense to pay a tile setter to float walls out when it could have already been done ahead of time. Just that most most contractors or drywallers, they have a mental position that that's not their job. But you should. I mean, in fact, all houses should be done that way, but unfortunately they're not, because it's always a race to the bottom. So corner beads, that's another good thing. So inside this shower area, let's just say a 4x5, there's no drywall mud needed. We don't want to be doing these inside corners with inside corners of the shower, right? We don't want those done with drywall mud because it'll create a build out. So you put your waterproofing on your tile and it's wonky again. The only place that we really need the drywall mud is mudded to the ceiling. If your ceiling is not going to be tiled. So the drywall, we need to drywall the ceiling, texture if needed, mud, texture, paint. Again, paint needs to be a paint that's suitable for a wet environment. Again, if that's not receiving tile, that would need to be done. And from there, outside corners we're still at. So the outside corners, if you're looking at your shower, you're looking outside, looking in that framework around the shower, that's typically not tiled. We're usually not bringing tile outside the shower onto that face. That's why you need a corner bead there. So when you directly, the drywall comes and enters the shower, corner bead that. If you don't do that, again, you're going to spend $400, $500, $600 to have a tile setter come around with that tile, trim it out with some sort of metal profile, and plus the tile itself. It's a lot of monkeying around. So save the money, plan ahead. Unless you need it for function, there's no reason to bring tile on the outside. Maybe you're trying to protect the walls from moisture, but normally it's not needed. We are typically supplying most recessed shelves. So here's an example of a raw recessed shelf. Schluter makes them. This is another company that makes them. They're all waterproof. So technically I could fill this up with water and it would hold water. So this would go on a stud cavity, 16-inch on center. 16-inch on center is typical stud spacing, and there's a nailing flange here. Now, layout of these. Usually we're cutting these in after the drywall is done. So you got to plan accordingly, right? You're going to want the studs to be centered on that wall. If there's one of these, let's say on the back of a 4x5 shower in the back 5-foot wall, you're going to need to stutter or center studs in that area to receive this. You got to plan in advance. You also don't want any venting or piping or electrical back there. There's a lot of thought that needs to go into this ahead of time. So if you're using multiple ones too and you want it aesthetically pleasing on that wall, you're going to have to plan ahead that those studs are laid out properly. So a lot of thinking needs to go into this well before you start building walls, maybe even in the process, in the early on process of when you're drawing your plans. Be thinking about these showers, be thinking about lowering the floor, right? Do we have to plan these floor trusses, these floor joists? Do we have to plan that it's going to need to be lowered so it can receive the shower pan? Most of these shower pans, let's just say let's just pretend it's a 2-inch. They're sloping about a 1/4 inch per foot down to the drain, or I believe it's 7 degrees. So you got to be thinking ahead, planning ahead. Oh, I want a roll-in shower. I don't want to say it's too late, but we're handcuffed when the home is built, the addition's done, remodels. It's very difficult to lower floors. It's doable, and there's processes, and there's every month seems like there's a new thing out there. However, plan it in advance. It's so much easier for all of us. Plan it with your architect and engineer. Yes, involve a good architect and engineer to get this done. Then turn that over to the contractor installer. Don't force us to have to figure all this out. We can. It's just it's a little bit more of a challenge. Exterior walls too, not a great place to put these recessed shelves. We can usually make them work, but it's problematic with the installation. Always be consulting with your RSA or designer here. just so that we can help you with the layout. So if you're here early enough, we can help you with that layout and get you lined up so that it can be built properly. We typically provide and install the shower curb. If there's going to be one, we're supplying it. So here's a chunk of one. So this one happens to be out of the box about 6 inches tall, and they're 4 foot, 5 foot, 6 foot long. We actually rip these down to about 4 inches is pretty common, is what we're ripping them down to. If you're doing a glass door with a hinge, which that's common, but they don't fit, they don't sit well in here. So you're gonna have to rethink this curb, but this is a waterproof curb ready to go. There's just no movement. Keep treated out of the mix too. Don't be using treated lumber anywhere. That's moving around so much. You're gonna have problems in that curb. Let's see, seats. Oh yeah, seats. So seats are the same kind of composition. They're waterproof. So most of the seats we supply and we install. So these seats typically are finished height of 18 inches. So the finished height is 18 inches. If you think your need is taller or shorter, just talk about it early in the process. Benches, if they're not a corner seat, a bench, we can do up to about 35 inches in-house on these waterproof pre-made versions. If they're bigger than that, just have your contractor custom build exactly what you want. Again, the drywaller will drywall the face. They need to put a piece of 3/4 inch OSB or plywood on top, and then drywall again, or cement board, that's still okay. Then we would waterproof. We would take over and waterproof from that point. So next here in line, shower floors. Your shower floor has to start flat and level. So it needs to be level. It needs to be suitable too. You know, you can't be ripping out these tubs and then putting in these foam shower pans, you know, just deck boards laying there. You know, we need a suitable substrate. We need a suitable substructure into the floor joist. So that too, we have calculators for that internally to even know if the substructure joists, let's say in our neck of the woods, we're dealing with a lot of floor joists. And we still have houses on slabs too, but it's a little heavier with basements in here in Wisconsin. And we can check that to see even if your project even is suitable for tile. So again, that kind of comes back into too, if you want to roll in shower, it's better to plan ahead, but things can be cut and adjusted too in many, many cases. But flat floor is very, very important. If you're doing a recessed, or if you're doing a typical roll-in shower where it's just zero entry, about 2 inches if you leave us, we'll build it up and make it work. And I say about 2 inches because some of these massive showers, if your shower is over, you know, let's say 40 square feet, let's say, consult us here before you start dropping floors. Always a good idea to consult us before dropping floors. Another big one here is these drains. So this is a typical Schluter drain here, fully adjustable, different colors they offered in. A typical 4-inch drain. So normally, if you have a 5 foot by 4 foot shower, you're going to want to center it left and right, front to back. You want to center this drain left, right, front to back. It's going to look aesthetically pleasing that way. But what happens, you go to do that, you cut the hole in the floor, and you're like, uh-oh, there's a floor joist or a heat run or a pipe. Now we have to rethink that. Offsetting this drain is a little wonky, so we'd have to consider that. You may consider going into a line drain or linear. Now this is just the bottom base unit, and then there's a fancy pretty top like this would be. You could go this route and put a linear drain in, and they've got all kinds of different sizes and adjustable sizes now. So this could go maybe on the shower head wall. I'm not a huge fan of going at entrances, but they can be that way. So this is a gorgeous look. Problem, I don't say it's a problem, but you know, plan to spend an extra $100 or extra $1,000 to $1,500 on a line drain upgrade. So yes, this can be, you know, maybe a better function in some cases in roll-in showers, but you're buying a look. You're buying a luxury. I'm going to be real. And there's all kinds of different fancy tops or tileable versions too. So that's a quick overview of linear drains. One more nuance too with these typical drains, you know, you're tearing out a tub. You're tearing out a tub surround, you're getting the tub out of there, and you're going to replace it with this hub and then this drain, and we tile this, you don't actually see this. So this is normally offset where the drain of the tub typically is. So that's centered on that shower head wall where the tub was, and then it's 10 inches off the wall to the center. That's where this rough plumbing is. So just be aware, we need that 10 inches, otherwise we're going to have to rethink it and go into a linear drain there too. When that trap is put in, so you're going to put that PVC pipe in, that trap, there's a PVC pipe on top, leave that above the floor about 6 inches. So it's best to leave that loose, and we can glue that last piece in with this PVC. They make this in ABS too. There's also glues that go from ABS to PVC, so don't fret it. There's options out there. Let's see, oh, even too, like if you're cutting a hole for this and we're coming in, well, you want that PVC pipe coming out of the floor 6 inches loose so we can pull it off. Have a 4 5/8 inch hole for that PVC to pop up through. That'll allow us to get this flange in here and this opening into your substrate. So this would hook on here, we'd glue this on, and we'd get this up into your substrate and sit properly into that floor. So leave 4 5/8. Same as if you were doing, let's say, currently these concrete floors and sloping floors, or if we do deck mud, it's fine. But if you can plan ahead, it's better to, on a concrete floor, it's better to say, okay, I'm doing this 4 by 5 shower on concrete. I'm going to just lower the floor there 2 inches and have my concrete nice and level and flat. And then we'll come with a pre-made, pre-sloped shower pan. It's just so much cleaner and efficient. We can always build it up a little bit. But when we have to come in and pin the concrete and pour these floors in an area, it's just, I don't think you're spending your money wisely that way, having a tile setter do all this work when it could have been done, or maybe should have been done on the front end with the engineer and the concrete contractor. If you do that though, again, if you're doing that, have that pipe come out of the concrete, well, be the same concept where you would attach this and have that pipe, have that room around that pipe about 4 5/8. So you have about a 4 5/8 hole with that center pipe coming through. We also have templates too, because some municipalities were not able to do the final hookup, so we can always send the drain flange. And inside the kit, inside the drain kit, there's templates in there for this and have all that information. Let me just quick check this document, make sure I'm not missing anything. That's really, really important. But that really is it. And again, I'll post this in the bottom of the YouTube channel. I'll see if I can get this to pop up on the screen, if I can figure that out. I'll even see if I can section some of the bottom of this YouTube video off so you can see what sections we're talking about. As always though, just call here, stop in, we'll walk through it. The team uses this often. We send this out often early. The earlier you're here, the more successful that process of your project will be. You can spend your money wisely and you have a better handle on how much you're going to have into this. But ultimately, we just want to spend your money wisely and make it last a long, long time, as long as we possibly can, and have the results that you want. You want the results that you're hoping for. So that's all I have here. Again, leave comments at the bottom. And as always, practice presence. Thank you.